Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Ministry of Tourism, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, are launching a very interesting program, Tourism Ethics. This is a program that aims at educating the students on the importance of tourism, as well as the ins and outs of the industry and the country's prominent heritage sites. For its part, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities is working to revitalize the internal tourism movement by organizing trips for school students for them to know more about their country. In order to shed more light about this topic, we're very much delighted to have with us Mr. Ramy Aboud. He is a tour guide and soft skills trainer to tell us more. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramy, for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, I'm
Mr.
so
Ramy,
glad to be here.
A very good day, and it's a pleasure to have you with us in our program Nile Cruise, in a very wonderful place here on the Nile banks in Maniel district in Cairo. Sir, Ministry of Education seeks to include knowledge and awareness materials within the educational curricula of the basic education level. What is the significance of this move, sir?
I think it has a big advantage for the student and the young generation because in order to increase their archaeological awareness about their country, the reality to the country, so that's why they decided to have a cooperation between the Minister of Tourism and Minister of Education in order to help the young generation to be able to discuss and discover their the history, and also they must go there to the archaeological site like the pyramid, like the castle of Saladin, in order to have a lot of knowledge about their country.
Yes. And how far will this move affect the behavior of the students towards the touristic sites, towards the tourism industry, and towards the tourists coming to Egypt?
Oh, I think it has a big impact because when we talk about the young generation, they need something to be models. You know, that's why they need to show that they are very keen on visiting a lot of sites like the pyramids, as I mentioned before. And for the tourist, as I was a tour guide before, the tourists they need to know a lot of knowledge about Egypt, because we have a background outside Egypt, just like Egypt, like a camel and the desert only. No, but nowadays Egypt has become a lot of more than that. Egypt has 1/3 of the total monuments in the whole world, found only in Luxor. So what about the rest of the Egypt? So that's why we need to, our role as a tour guide and English trainer is to help the tourists to discover their country very well.
Sir, organizing school trips for students in various touristic sites and governorates will be a part of the new knowledge and awareness materials, of course. Would you tell us more about the trips that you organized? You said you were a tour guide, sir, and how do we mingle between the English language to teach the students and the archaeological sites that they visit?
Okay. You know that I graduated from Faculty of Archaeology, Cairo University, in 2006. So before that, I used to work as a tour guide or as a tour leader first at the airport. So my job is to pick up the guests from the airport with a sign and transfer them to the hotel. And then after that, I started to work as a tour operator. I'm the one who designed the touristic program for the tourists. And then after that, I have done a diploma of touristic guidance to be a tour guide. So I have a lot of experience, more than 14 years, dealing with 10 different nationalities: American, British, Australian, Canadian, you know. But when the revolution came, I decided to shift my career to be an English trainer. So I found that the tour guide has a lot of knowledge more than the English trainer. So the teaching field for me, it will be easier to work. And that's what happened really. So I started to teach English. Okay, and I applied the touristic idea inside the teaching by doing the trips for the young students. This is one of the most creative ideas I have ever applied. And you know, I have organized during 12 years more than 237 trips for the students. And most of them now, they feel they work outside Egypt. Some of them, they work as a call center agent at Vodafone. So I mean that they decided to use English in a correct way. That's my role with them. And I was so happy because their success is considered mine too. Yes.
Mr. Ramy, in your own opinion, how would these trips enhance the sense of belonging for the children and boost their passion to learn more about the history of their country and its attractions that could bring in more
Yes, you know
tourists?
that the young students, when we study English at schools, it was in a old-fashioned way. I mean that we don't have the passion, or we don't find someone who encourage us to show us the historical site from a different point of view, and that's what I have already done for the students. I decided to take them to the tour, and also because I was a tour guide, so I have a delicate way of coming to the tourists, talk to them in a nice way, and then I invite them to talk to my students in English. And we started to make a lot of conversations in English. Maybe more. The last trip it was in 2020 in the pyramids. My students spent 2 hours. Can you believe that? 2 hours talking to the tourists. They were very passionate about it. They were very excited, and we had a lot of fun. We took selfies also with them, and encouraged them very well. Yeah, they were very happy with that. Yeah.
Mr. Ramy, a great job. Of course, that it's worth appreciation. Nowadays and lately, students are seeking scholarships. Of course, the students that excel already are seeking scholarships, and it's become very trendy to study abroad, not in Egypt, in light of course, the very expensive expenses that we all face as parents and students. How students can benefit from these opportunities from your own perspective or motto?
When I started to teach English, I discovered that I had to take more advanced courses like Toefl, like TESOL, like IELTS and Toefl. In order to be able to teach the students that if one of them or I had a lot of questions. They asked me a lot, Mr. Ramy, we would like to study in Germany, we would like to study in Italy, France, so what should we do? I always tell them that you have to study something called Toefl or IELTS or TOEFL, because this is the highest certificate of English.
Sir, name them again, please. Name them again.
Named again, okay, IELTS and TOEFL. IELTS, it's British. It's accredited in UK, as you know, and New Zealand, and TOEFL, this is American, the EUC. But the most famous one nowadays is called IELTS, because you need it. Yeah, the British one, because you need IELTS to immigrate or to study abroad or to do master and PhD outside. You must have this certificate. So that's why that's my job as an English teacher. I give them a preparation course before taking this exam. It was just for a month and a half. They have to study the basics, how to get the high score of the TOEFL. As you know that nowadays we have the normal scores 7.5 out of 9. This is the acceptable score to travel to for the scholarship.
Yes.
How enthusiastic do you see the students, sir?
They became very easy to get the score because they studied English with me in a very creative way, with a passion. So all just they need just to study academically, something called academic studying, like listening, reading, writing, speaking, because the TOEFL test is not easy. The administrator or the one on the head, he has to test you in 4 different skills. How to read very well, 45 minutes for reading, 45 minutes for writing, listening, and speaking. Yes.
Mr. Ramy, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities has various awareness programs, like the Tourism Ambassador Program, for example, like Know Your Country program. All these programs were launched by the ministry. So how do you view these activities, and how far will these programs raise the children's awareness regarding promoting their country abroad and telling their friends, we're living in a
Yeah, I'm so happy
small
with this
world.
step because the Egyptian government recently has realized that the importance of tourism has to be connected with education. There is no gap between tourism and education, so it has to be connected together. So that's why recently I have started to make a lot of trips for the young generation, for adults, for the high school students, and for the employees, and also. in order to encourage them to love their country and also learn a lot of historical information about your country. Some people, they live in, for example, in Harlem Street, and they have never been to the pyramids before. How come? So you must go there, discover your country, read about your knowledge, read about your country. Egypt, as I said, is the mother of the world. So I'm so happy to be, and so happy and proud to be Egyptians with their country. Yeah.
Mr. Ramy, from your own perspective, how do you read cooperation between the two ministries, the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Education, of course, and to work on enhancing and exchanging experiences to contribute to increasing tourism and archaeological knowledge and awareness among school students?
We have a lot of activities nowadays, like how to be a kid tour guide. That's my idea. I have applied recently. It means that for the young generation from, let's say, grade 1 to grade 6, this competition enhances their abilities and their skills to gain a lot of knowledge about the history, and also to learn English in a proper way, like not to say thank you, for example, say thank you. Some phonetics. It's very amazing. Yeah.
Yes. And in your own opinion, how would these trips actually boost internal tourism?
I think it's, in my opinion, if we applied just like during the year, throughout the year, I have done more than 237 trips, but in 10 years. If we can do the same amount of these trips every year, that will be amazing. So that's why my opinion is to apply it. Yeah.
Mr. Ramy, Egypt, of course, is listed with all pride, I have to say this, as a country that must be seen in 2022. How do you read this, and how do you express this from your own point of view?
It's okay, and just I'm working, in my teaching career, I'm working on myself to improve, to create a lot of creative ideas for the students. How can you be loyal to your country? How can you speak English very well? I can say that I'm so proud to say that most of my students now, they work outside Egypt. Some of them, they have businesses. They want me to be their partner. But I totally refuse this idea, because your success, my job is to help you reach your success. So if you achieve your goals, that means that I became successful in my mission. Yeah.
With all, wishing you all success, Mr. Ramy, as you go on with your journey.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
from success to success. Mr. Ramy Sayyid Aboud, a tour guide and soft skills trainer. Thank you very much for joining us in today's episode of Nile
Yes.
Cruise. It's our utmost pleasure. Thank you very much,
Thank
dear
you.
viewers. Stay tuned. We'll be back again, me and Hela Al Hamalawi, to continue today's episode of Nile Cruise.